Hello folks, here we are again with the lease deals of the month, and it's the one you've been waiting for. We've got some absolute corkers in this and a little bit of important information that's going to help you possibly plan your next lease. Keep watching. Right, so before we get to all the good stuff, there's a few things to discuss. So firstly, there's a massive delay on lots of new car orders at the moment, and some companies have even stopped taking orders. A friend of mine was supposed to be getting a Cupra Leon in a couple of weeks, and he just found out that it's not even booked in for a build date yet because they're so far behind. And it's because of this semiconductor shortage that's affecting loads of things, but particularly new car builds. And that's what's helping to keep used car prices so unbelievably high. Now, the good news is, if this is the first time you've ever leased a car, used car prices are so high at the moment that you can really get a good price for your car. Look at, I've done a video on it, which I'll put a link to up there, but you can look at Motorway, you can look at We Buy Any Car, all those different sites, as I mentioned in that video, and you could probably get a really fantastic deal for your car. Now, when it comes to the leases, I would say if you're factory ordering a car, you really need to find out what the current situation is with that particular brand, but there could be a huge delay on it. My suggestion is that you focus on in-stock deals if you want anything, this side of Christmas certainly, but you're possibly looking delays well into next year if you're doing factory orders with some brands of vehicle. So there are a few in-stock deals in this video, but not all of them are. I just want to make you aware of that. In some of these categories this time there was like one good deal, where normally I might have 4 or 5 to choose from, but luckily some of those good deals are fantastic. So yeah, I think it's still well worth a watch, but I would say that, wouldn't I? Whilst we're on that subject, please give the video a thumbs up, because I don't get anywhere near enough thumbs up on ththese videos, and it's preventing YouTube from really promoting my videos as much as they should. If you've seen these videos before, you probably know you're going to enjoy it. I hope you know you're going to enjoy it, so please give it a thumbs up. Makes a huge difference. And please use my Amazon link. I'm going to pin it as the first comment, and I'm going to put it in the video description. Amazon are actually going to take my Amazon affiliate thing away because not enough people have used it, and that means less than 4 in a month. So please just click on that link, go and buy something on Amazon. I don't care if it costs 10 pence. Just use the Amazon link and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to the deals. Enjoy. Okay guys, so we're going to start off with the bargain hunter as we normally do, and this one's a Dacia Duster. There are cheaper cars than this available at the moment. The Peugeot 108 that I think was on last month's video is still on a really good deal. And there are 1 or 2 cheaper cars. The Sandero is slightly cheaper than this. But I just think for value for money, in terms of the size car you're getting for the money, nothing's going to touch this. I mean, we know they are bargain basement cars, and they're not going to be luxurious in any way. But it's a lot of car for 160 quid a month, isn't it? It's mad. So these have been up to like 235, 245 a month, and we're now down to £160.57 with 580 quid up front. As we know with these things, lots of old Renault parts bin stuff chucked into it, but they're not that bad really, are they? I mean, that's not terrible, is it? Let's have a look. 12.5 seconds to 60. This one's a 1 litre petrol. The combined fuel consumption's 45.3 mpg, 50 litre fuel tank, 445 litres of boot space, 16-inch steel wheels. That's all right. Seriously, for that sort of money, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. This is very important as well. In stock. Bear in mind what I said at the start of the video. It's actually in stock, so you could get one of those probably within a week or 2. The Super City. Okay, so we've gone for a bit of a lively one this month. There are a few lively cars in here this month, to be fair. And it's the Abarth 595. So it's the Fiat 500, but it's the Abarth version, which is quick and a bit spicy, as one of my friends might say. Fiat 500 on steroids, if you like. Let's have a look at this. 0 to 62 in 6.7 seconds, 40.9 mpg, 35 litre fuel tank, and 185 litres of boot space. So it is very small, massively nimble around town. I mean, brilliant little car to drive, and it goes like stink. So if that's your thing, you can't go far wrong with that at all. On the city cars as well, there are loads and loads of EV deals around. Things like Renault Zoes and Nissan Leafs, they just don't change very much every month. But if you want an EV, you can get one for similar sort of money, around the £200 a month mark. And there are plenty. Vauxhall Corsas as well. There are a few deals knocking around on those at the moment, so bear those in mind. I just thought this one's one we haven't seen on here before, and it's a really good deal. You can see these were up at sort of 520 quid, 400 quid, and they're down now to 241. So you can see there, for best part of a year, they were sort of north of 300 quid. So I think that's a really, really good deal, which is why I've shown it in this video. So 959 up front, 241 quid a month. So the family hatchback is a DS. It's a DS3 crossback. And let's have a look at this one. There you go. It's probably on the smaller side of the family hatchbacks, but they're very funky inside, aren't they? What you would expect from a modern French car, really. Super funky design. Not to everyone's taste, I'm sure, but there we go. So these were 368 quid a month, 364 quid a month for best part of a year. Now dropped down £209 a month, 928 quid up front. Again, it's in stock. So there will only be a few of those, I'm sure. So you need to, any of these ones that say in stock, especially at the moment, they're going to go quickly, very, very quickly. But I mean, that is an absolute bargain. That's about £150 a month off the price on a car in that sort of price range. 0 to 69.7 seconds, combined MPG 76.3, mental. That's a diesel manual, 350 litres of boot space. Seriously, 209 quid a month for that car is bananas, absolutely bananas. Right, the EV. So this one, we've gone for the VW ID3, so basically the electric Golf, if you like. You see the designers have sat and thought, right, we need to make an electric Golf that's not an electric Golf. So we're going to come up with this thing. And it's the ID3. It's about as close to a Golf, a futuristic looking Golf as you could expect to find, I guess. And ticks a lot of the same boxes. Quite a funky, quite minimalist interior. Unfortunately, lots of haptic slidey things and all that kind of business rather than buttons and dials, which I always like, but you can't have everything. 0 to 60 in 9.6 seconds, 145 horsepower, 262 miles claimed range, and 385 litre boot, which is good. So these were sort of 450 and they've been up over 500 just, but certainly up to the 500 mark, and then they've just started to come down. So 315 a month with 1,221 up front, and that's a great deal. Factory order, and I would expect the wait times to be fairly substantial on these. So bear that in mind. If you want to order one, it might take a long time to arrive because of what's going on in the world at the moment. I've forgotten the crossover. The crossover is the RAV4 this month. It's the iHybrid, so it's not the plug-in hybrid. It's much like the Prius and what you get in most Lexus and Toyota cars. So you've got the petrol engine, which in this one's a 2.5 litre petrol engine, and that sits alongside a hybrid system that basically self-replenishes. So you don't need to plug it in. In fact, you can't plug it in. 0 to 60 is 8.4 seconds and combined MPG of 48.7. And you can see there's not much difference between urban and extra urban combined MPG. Is fairly flat at sort of 48, and boot space 580 litres, so it's a really good sized boot despite the fact it's got the batteries on board, which has sometimes been a problem with some of these cars with hybrid technology, that you lose so much of your boot space. But that's really, really good. 580 litres boot is good. That's sort of same sort of range as a Superb Estate. Okay, they're probably a bit Marmite design-wise, these cars, aren't they? They're not to everyone's taste, but I think they're interesting. Like, when a car actually sparks a conversation, that's a good thing. There are so many cars nowadays that are so bland that it's good to see something that sparks a conversation with people. Interior is everything you expect from a Toyota, so not flashy in any way, but extremely rugged and well put together. The infotainment system's not amazing on them, but it's okay. As you can see, there's a picture of that massive boot that we talked about, and I think they look really cool in that two-tone design. So this one's 1,144 up front and 348 quid a month. I mean, it's not a massive saving at the moment, but it's a decent saving. So you're looking sort of 20-30 quid a month from where it is most of the time. But you know, it has been up there sort of closer to 400 quid a month for quite a decent period. So 50 quid a month off over a 3-year deal is well worth having, isn't it? Well worth having. So there we go. That's the crossover. The quick one is the Golf 320R 4Motion DSG. The Golf R obviously is a well-known rapid car. You can get this engine in a couple of other cars. The first one that springs to mind is the Cupra Leon. This one's got a little bit more horsepower, so 320 horsepower, 4.7 seconds to 60. So that is a rapid car. 36.2 mpg, and I think the styling of these is actually really nice. You can tell it's a fairly fruity one, but it's not quite as garish as some of the faster cars. So I think they've done a decent job of making it look sporty without making it massively obvious, and you know, it doesn't look too much like a shopping trolley as some of them do. The infotainment system's come in for a bit of a beating on these recent VW Group cars. Hopefully any issues with it have been ironed out with firmware or software updates. But yeah, nicely put together car that will scare your pants off you, basically. And who doesn't like that? The deals on these, I mean, it's not anything staggering at the moment, but in this particular section, these really sort of fast cars, there's nothing mind-blowing at the moment. Some good deals on the Cupras, but we know the massive delays on those being produced at the moment. These have been up at 473 there, 425. Oh, let's just change this. I had it on 1 month up front. So 3 months up front. You see it's fairly standard price. I guess the median for it's about 400 quid a month. It was a bit higher at some stages. There just aren't any sort of standout deals on these quick cars at the moment, but for me this seemed to be the best of the bunch. But for all that performance for 400 quid a month, it's impressive really, isn't it? Okay, what have we got next? We've got the Executive, and this is a Mercedes C-Class. It's the C300DE AMG Nightline Edition Premium. That's a mouthful, isn't it? And it's a diesel plug-in hybrid, which you don't see so often, do you? Usually it's a petrol plug-in hybrid, but this one's a diesel plug-in hybrid. 0-62 in 5.6 seconds, so it is rapid, 306 horsepower. It's got the 2-litre diesel mated with the electric motor, 300-litre boot, so the battery technology in this has eaten away into that boot space quite a lot, because you'd normally expect C-Class to be, off the top of my head, 450 litres, something like that, 420 litres maybe. So it's eating a fair amount of boot space away. But if that's not a major issue to you, they look great, perform really well, fairly frugal as well, I guess. You don't get the actual... Whenever you see a combined MPG on a hybrid, it's always some ridiculous number, like 150 MPG or something. In reality, I have no idea what you would get from it, but it's not going to be anything like over 100 mpg. I mean, that's just bonkers. But it's going to be a lot better than it would be for this kind of performance in a normal petrol or diesel, you can fairly safely say. As long as you keep it charged, of course. So this one's £1,584 up front and £528 a month. And you can see these have been up 640 quid, 620 quid, 610 quid. Then they've just dropped down. So it's not far off 100 quid a month less than it has been for most of the time it's been on sale. So that's very, very good. 100 quid a month over 3 years, you know, £3,500 in your pocket because you're getting it at the right time, and it's in stock. So once again, when these things are in stock, especially at the moment when new cars are taking so long to be produced and delivered, when it's in stock, you have to say, if you're into it, jump on it, because there will be a handful of them around and they'll go so quickly, it'll be unbelievable. So bear that in mind. Right, the midlife crisis is next, and sometimes they can be a bit of a soft midlife crisis or a sensible midlife crisis. This one is an absolute full-on midlife crisis. This is for the man that's really lost all hope and just has to go for the most garish, crazy car he can find. And it's the Audi RS3. But I'm specifically speaking in this green because, I mean, I can't think of anything more sort of off the scale in terms of taste and everything. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers, isn't it? I must admit, if that car was in a more subdued colour, I think it would fly under the radar a bit. But in that basically day glow green, I don't think that's going to happen. Interior's very cool, apart from, again, the green is a bit OTT for my liking. It looks a bit like someone's been to Halfords and spent sort of 15 quid on tack to stick inside their car. I prefer it when it's a bit more subdued than that inside, but certainly makes a statement, doesn't it? Right, let's look at the performance on this, because it is absolutely bonkers. 0 to 62 in 3.8 seconds, 400 brake horsepower, 2.5 litre four-wheel drive. It's got the automatic gearbox, 321 litres of boot space, 55 litre fuel tank, a combined MPG of 31.4. Now, I've basically got that car sitting out there with a 1.5 engine in it, and what is it, 150 brake horsepower. That's quite a quick car. It's not, I mean, it's not going to blow anyone's skirt up by any means, but it's not a slow car. I won't say it's a quick car. I'm going to say it's not a slow car. And I cannot imagine that car with another 250 horsepower on top of it. I mean, the performance of this thing must be absolutely mind-blowing. Wow. So it's a bargain at just 2,400 up front, 2,355 up front, and 752 quid a month. Ooh. Started off about £1,000 a month, and they've come down to now like the 747. So it's a lot of money every month, but it's also a significant drop from £1,000, isn't it? Again, performance-wise, that thing is absolutely outrageous. That's just, it feels like a track car to me. Can't imagine driving that around at 30 or 20 or something. I would guess the accelerator is like an on-off switch. So it'd be really interesting actually to just drive one of those around at normal town speeds and see how difficult it is to do. Right, the SUV. It's a Hyundai Santa Fe. Woo! They shout. Right, so these started off at 469 quid a month, and at the moment it's down to 377, which is really good. I mean, it's been around that sort of neck of the woods for a few months, but prior to that, they were sort of well over 450 quid a month. So it's not a bad deal at the moment. Santa Fe's a very nice, big, practical car, and they are much, much better screwed together than people think. People think of Hyundai and Kia as just sort of budget Korean cars, and they haven't been for a long time. They're very well put together cars, which is why they come with such huge warranties, I guess, because they've got a bit of faith in what they're producing. Boot space, 634 litres. I mean, that is massive. I think that's more than an E-Class estate, which is one of the biggest boots, or certainly in that ballpark anyway. And like Skoda Superb estate, Passat estate, those huge estate cars, that's a big, big boot. So very, very practical. 230 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 8.9, and combined MPG of 44.1, and it's a 1.6 petrol electric hybrid. Again, it's not a plug-in. So £1,366 up front, £377 a month. That's a fantastic deal. It really is. If you look at these kind of size cars, and even with that performance, I know it's not staggering performance, but 8.9 seconds to 60 is not bad at all for this kind of size car. And with just given the sheer size and heft and everything else, that's quite an impressive package for 377 quid a month. Oh, I really think that's a decent deal. I'm just going to show you a second SUV, which is sort of the higher budget, because it's just really cheap at the moment. And I think they're a bit odd myself. I don't know, like the SUV coupe thing, I don't know if it'll grow on me over time, but I just don't really get it. I think a coupe is a coupe and an SUV is an SUV, and I think they look a bit odd. They look like someone's got a coupe and put it on stilts, but I could be completely wrong, and you might have a completely different opinion, and I'd be happy if you did, but I don't think they're my cup of tea at the moment. So they started off 766 quid a month, and then 714 there, 641 there, down to basically just under £2,000 up front and 570 quid a month. It's the Mercedes-Benz GLC 300E 4MATIC.
and it's a petrol plug-in hybrid. 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. Electric range is 26 miles, but we don't know MPG real world. Boot space only 350 litres, so once again with the Mercedes hybrid you lose a hell of a lot of boot space because of the battery technology, so do bear that in mind. And that's a 2-litre petrol engine mated to that electric motor. Yeah, I just wanted to include that one really because it's just dropped so much in price. When you think it was 750 quid, 760 quid a month, we're now down to 570. I just thought it was worth a mention. Unusual for me to show 2 cars in one section, I know, but I just thought I had to give it a mention. I'm often accused of going for something way too boring for the Wildcard and practical and thinking about what would be good to chuck the family and the dogs in and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought sod it this month, and we've gone for a bit of a mental one. The numbers on this are fairly scary, but check it out, the Polestar 1. Now, if you don't know Polestar, it's the sort of electric brand of Volvo, and they've done the Polestar 2, which is sort of the, I guess it's their rival to the Tesla, to the Model 3. I mean, it doesn't look like it at all. Those kind of numbers in terms of range and everything. And they've aimed at, the Polestar 2's aimed at maybe your BMW, Mercedes company car type drivers. So they want a bit of an executive saloon. It's a bit raised up, but very practical, very sensible, good range, you know, just makes sense for a lot of people. The Polestar 1 is bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Check it out. I think that's an absolutely stunning looking car. You can sort of see it's Volvo, but you could also, at a quick glance, think that was an Aston Martin or something. I just think that's an absolutely fantastic bit of design. Look at all the gubbins in the boot. That's a bit nutty, isn't it? And this obviously straight out of a Volvo. And your steering wheel and all that sort of stuff in the Polestar is all just, when you're in one, you just feel like you're in a Volvo. But on the outside, this looks a bit different, doesn't it? Right, let's have a look. So £6,000 up front and then £1,900 a month. However, 2nd of August, it was £2,500 a month. And all the way along here, it was £2,500 a month. It dropped down to like 2.2 there. So as mad as this seems, this is a bit of a bargain at the moment. Right, let's have a look. So it's a 2-litre petrol engine mated to an electric motor and batteries and everything else. 0 to 62 in 4.2 seconds, 609 brake horsepower, and combined fuel economy of 77.1. That's a very weird thing again, because it's that claimed fuel economy of when you're running it in some sort of dual petrol and battery mode. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to believe it, to be fair. Fuel tank 60 litres, so it's still got a decent sized fuel tank on it. But yeah, very interesting car and very wild. A wild choice, I think. So I thought it was worthy of the wild card.
So what did you think of that this month, guys? You can't say my wildcard's not very wild anymore, can you? Not at all. No, I don't think you can. I'm sure someone will come back to me and tell me I'm a lunatic and it's ridiculous and I should put a nice sensible family car on there for £200 a month. You know, we're trying to mix things up, especially based on your feedback. So give me a chance, eh? In last month's video, I promoted an app called Readly, which is like Netflix for magazines, and I've got some brilliant news on that front. A, the free trial is still available, and just by doing the free trial you help the channel out, but B, you've now got 2 months for free. That means you've got 2 months complete access to it for absolutely free, and you can cancel anytime within the 2 months and it won't cost you a penny. And if you do it, it massively helps the channel. It's the biggest thing you could do to help the channel, apart from liking and subscribing and sharing on social media, which of course I'm going to ask you to do again. So please like, subscribe and share on social media. What are your thoughts at the moment, guys, with the changes in the market and these delays on new factory orders? Is that going to put you off? Do you want a really specific car, or if you find a great deal on something that's in stock, even if it's not your first choice, would you just take it if the deal's good enough? I would, personally. I've done it before. I always shop by deal rather than by car. What are your thoughts on it? And out of those cars in there, which one would you like to take home today and keep as your own? Thanks for watching, guys. Please share, subscribe, like, do all that kind of good stuff, because I really need some help to grow this channel, and I think you're the person to do it. Right, that YouTube algorithm thing is telling me that you'd like to watch this video next, and you probably also need to subscribe, which you can do using that one. So watch that video because YouTube tells me you're going to like it. Thanks.